ideas and the talent of the individual, and less about individual characteristics. We find the same thing in leadership theory. Right? In leadership theory, the archaic way, the old school way of looking at leadership was the great man theory, right? That great men arrived to solve problems when problems needed to be solved. And usually those were men on horses with swords who led other men on horses with swords to go kill other men on horses with swords. And that was what leadership was in the days of the great man theory. We moved from that to a more genetic theory, the trait theory, right? If you were tall and strong and loud and confident and good-looking, then these were traits that made you a leader. And in fact, some of these traits could be inherited. We see bloodline leadership. The modern-day theory is about behaviors and tasks that leaders engage in. And I think we're seeing a similar type of evolution in the thought and the theory behind entrepreneurship. And remember, in leadership theory, we've got about 3,000 years of literature on leadership. We only have a couple of hundred about entrepreneurship. So I guess what I want to leave you with is this idea that entrepreneurship is very much, from an academic perspective, is very much an idea, a domain that's in the process of being defined. And you can all help to define it. So, when we talk about technology entrepreneurship today, are we talking about Zuckerbergs and Jobs? Right? College dropouts, college students who start businesses in their early 20s and instantly become billionaires? Is that what a technology entrepreneur looks like in the 21st century? There's actually been data collected in the United States, excuse me, by the Kaufman Foundation about what technology entrepreneurs look like in the United States. And I want to give you a brief look at that. Number one, technology entrepreneurs, the great percentage of them, the largest percentage of them, hold as their terminal degree a Bachelor of Science. Not an MS, not a PhD. 44% of tech entrepreneurs have only bachelor's degrees. 30% of tech entrepreneurs have master's degrees. So we can see that BS/MS takes up 74%. 3/4 of the tech entrepreneurs are not PhDs. So it leaves people like me to wonder what I've been doing in school my whole life. Something's happened to me. They've sucked something out of my brain, so I'm less entrepreneurial. Or maybe it's all that time that I was spent in school. I could have been doing something else. I'm not sure, but this is just the data. I'll interject opinions and non sequiturs, but these are just the numbers, the facts. The field of the terminal degree. We see that 33% of tech entrepreneurs have their terminal degree in business, accounting, or finance. 28% have their degree in engineering. Now remember, we had 33% of those terminal degrees were in business. So this could mean that we've got a terminal degree in business, but an undergraduate degree in engineering. And that's what I suspect. I see a lot of my students that are entrepreneurial, I can see, and they want to start their own business someday. And they're interested in enterprise. They're finishing a degree in mechanical engineering, and then they would like to go on and get an MBA. So I think that's maybe what a little bit of what we're seeing here is, remember, it's the terminal degree, it's the last degree, it's not speaking about the first degree. But there it is. It shows us that that's also a very powerful combination. Like doing an undergraduate degree in engineering and layering on top of that an MBA or degree in accounting or finance. This is an interesting one here. The age of technology entrepreneurs at startup. clearly. The largest percentage, 45% of tech entrepreneurs, are between the age of 35 and 44 when they start their business. 18% are between the ages of 45 and 54, and 6% are 55 plus. 63, 69%, almost 70% of tech entrepreneurs are over 35 years of age when they first start their business. They're not the Zuckerbergs and the Jobs. Oh, that's only a small percentage. Only a small percentage of tech entrepreneurs, at least in the United States, from this past data that we have. So this is really looking at tech entrepreneurs from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 80s. And this is an interesting one here, too. The lag time, or the delay, between the time of completion of terminal degree and the time that the enterprise is started. PhD. This bodes poorly for people like me again. Look at what's happened. We're the lowest percentage of entrepreneurs, and when we do start a venture, boy, it takes us a long time. Yeah, 21 years between completion of our PhD and the founding of the enterprise.
You don't want to take a risk.
I'm going to be Kadim Bazev. Hey, look at this. Yeah, and risk, right? We don't want to take a risk. Why? We're comfortable. Right? We're sitting in our university office with our pipe and our jackets and thinking big thoughts. Hey, but look, even at the bachelor's degree, right? 17 years between the completion of the bachelor's degree and the founding of the enterprise. Something's going on in that period of time. Master's, very similar. MBA, very similar also. 13 to 17 years. Over a decade. 18-year lifetime, generally, for engineering. So, when we think about the reality of what does a technology entrepreneur look like, that person begins to look less like Steve Jobs and Zuckerberg and more like, this is my friend Tahir Shah. He's actually an author. He's about as far from a tech entrepreneur as possible. But I pulled this picture because he's my friend and he's about the right age. But this is really what a tech entrepreneur looks like. He or she possesses a terminal degree in either a BS or an MBA or an MS, right? Not a PhD. He or she has a degree in the terminal degree in business, so that may be the MBA, or engineering, right? The BS in engineering. He or she is between 35 and 44 years of age. And he or she has spent about 15 years between the completion of the degree and the founding of the enterprise. Doing something, learning, watching, looking, listening, taking notes and stealing secrets, right? Taking notes and stealing secrets. Okay, so I wanted to start with that. This is, some facts. It's always nice to begin a conversation with facts, and then I'll give you some opinions later. I have opinions, but I think it's good to start with facts. The origins of these words, the origins of these concepts, the recent state of defining of the academic domain, and what it is that a technology entrepreneur looks like. So here's my opinion. Those are all facts. Here's an opinion. I think really entrepreneurship and entrepreneurs, this phenomenon is more about a way of looking at the world. The entrepreneurs that I know, the successful ones, have very, very active minds. And when normal people see problems or see nothing, these crazy people see opportunities. My friends who are entrepreneurs are always scribbling down business ideas. Always. They always have business ideas. They're always solving problems, which I think makes it a perfect avenue for engineers, because that's all we ever do, right? That's what we're taught to do, solve problems. break things down, solve the problem. So while the data shows us that there's this lag time, right, of 15 years between the time of completion of the terminal degree and the time at which the enterprise is created. Also, academic theory tells us that the effect that we have on you students is about 5 years after you leave the university. After 5 years, we can't claim any credit for any successes you have. It's all it belongs to you 100%. We can look longitudinally 5 years. So, if we're going to teach entrepreneurship, what does that mean? What does that mean? If I, as an academic, only have a horizon of 5 years, and you're going to start your business 15 years from now, what is it that I can give you that will help you in your business? I think some of this has to do with innovation. Robert Pittman, he founded MTV and a number of other entertainment technology type ventures. He says that conventional wisdom is the biggest obstacle to innovation. And I've heard this echoed by many technology entrepreneurs, that to be innovative, they try to be more childlike, try to be less adult, less uptight, try to dispose of the conventional wisdom and think outside the box. The other definition we hear of innovation is about capturing value from creativity, and I just want to touch on these creative spaces, the idea of creative spaces a little bit, because I think it's important. This is Building 20 behind me. This was on the MIT campus in Cambridge until 1998 when it was torn down. This was probably the building responsible for the largest number of innovations coming out of MIT. And it was kind of a mistake building. They built this in a hurry during the Second World War, and it was built cheaply, very inexpensive materials, without much thought. There weren't walls put up. Where there were walls, they were poor quality. But what happened was people would be moved into Building 20 on their way to a permanent home. So when MIT would hire someone and there wasn't a permanent office available yet, they would throw them into Building 20. So you wound up with linguists, chemical engineers, mechanical engineers, electrical engineers, material science people, physicists, all living inside this really poorly constructed building that was falling down. So it gave them, number one, two opportunities. One, the opportunity to interface. And we know that innovation takes place at the interfaces between disciplines. So here was this promotion, not a deliberate, but an accidental promotion of collisions, interdisciplinary collisions. That was number one. Number two, the building was so bad that people tore down walls, they drilled holes in walls, they rewired things. They felt very at ease changing things and modifying things, building their own office units. If it was a beautiful new building, nobody would have even wanted to put a nail in the wall to hang a photograph, right? With Building 20, there weren't any issues like that. So I think the creative power of spaces doesn't necessarily have to come from a brand new center with air conditioning and with beautiful carpets and with the latest technology. Sometimes the most powerful creative spaces can be the worst buildings. So that's number one, and I wanted to show you that boundary condition. Here's the other boundary condition, though, where the power of creative spaces does come from a beautiful brand new building. And this was deliberately created by Steve Jobs. This is the Pixar headquarters. And Steve Jobs, in order to promote those interdisciplinary collisions, placed all the mailboxes at Pixar in the central atrium area here. He also put all the coffee shops. He wanted to put all the restrooms there too, but I think he got overruled. They had to actually put some toilets in different places. But you see, Jobs knew what had happened at MIT accidentally, just like we know what happens to organic matter in rivers accidentally. It degrades. And what Jobs